I'd like to call to order the Carson City Regional Transportation Commission meeting for Wednesday, January 14th, 2015. We are meeting in the Community Center Sierra Room at 851 East William Street, Carson City. Tomorrow, roll call and determination of a quorum.
Chairperson Smolinski, Vice Chairperson Smolinski.
Here.
Commissioner Bankowski.
Here.
Commissioner Kroll.
Here.
Commissioner Kimbrough.
Here.
Commissioner McQuarrie.
Here.
A quorum's present.
Public comment. Members of the public who wish to address the Regional Transportation Commission may approach the podium and speak on matters related to RTC. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic. If your item requires extended discussion, please request the chair to calendar the matter for a future RTC meeting. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which an action may be taken. Is there any public comment? Moving forward, approval of minutes of November 12th, 2014.
I move to approve the minutes of the Regional Transportation Commission meeting from Wednesday, November 12th, as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here.
One abstention. Motion passes. Patrick, anything on the agenda that needs to be moved around?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any member of the commission that may wish to explain or any contact with the public regarding any item on the agenda or business of the commission? Okay, moving forward. Item F1, for possible action, the election of officers for the RTC. Every year in January, the first meeting in January, the Regional Transportation Commission, per NRS 373.0403, requires the election of chairperson and vice chairperson. So at this point in time, I will open up nominations for the position of chairman.
I make a motion to nominate Brad Bankowski as our new chairperson.
The motion has been made and seconded to elect Brad Bankowski as chairman of the RTC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I now open up the nominations for the position of vice chairman of the RTC.
I nominate Jim Smolinski as vice chairperson.
I'll second.
The nomination has been made to nominate me as vice chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this point in time, I'm going to turn the gavel over to the newly elected chairman, Brad Bankowski. You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, sir. I have to do this.
Well, if I may, new Mr. Chair, while that's progressing, I just want to note that the Board of Supervisors, for the record, appointed, of course, yourself to the position, and Mayor Kroll is now a new member, takes a position previously held by Supervisor McKenna. And just for the record, Mr. Kimbrough was appointed by the Board of Supervisors, I believe at its December meeting, to a 2-year term. Just want to put that on the record.
Thank you, Patrick. Now moving on to action item F2 for possible action to accept the work as completed and to accept the contract summary as presented and to approve the release of final payment in the amount of $19,034.09 for contract 1314-164 titled Safe Routes to Schools. You taking this one, Patrick?
Yes, I'll take this one. I believe it's relatively self-explanatory, so I'll just note that the funds available to us in reimbursement from the Nevada Department of Transportation will be sufficient to reimburse the city for these expenses. And I will just note that I checked with the construction management engineer responsible for the implementation of this project this afternoon, And he confirmed that the project went very well. There was some coordination with the neighbor on that side of the street. And he has recently checked in with the principal of the nearby school, who is also satisfied with the project.
Do we have any public comment on this? Since there's no public here, we have no public comment. Okay, then I'll bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move to accept the work as completed, to accept the contract summary as presented, and to approve the release of final payment in the amount of $19,034.09 for contract 1314-164, titled Safe Route to Schools, Hells Bells Road Pedestrian Improvements to Coons Construction, LLC.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Smolinski and seconded by Commissioner, was it Kimbrough? No? Kroll. Any discussion on the item? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item, item F3, information on a pending Public Works Department application for Community Development Block Grant.
Yes, as indicated, this is an informational item, but we thought it prudent to bring it before you. Tomorrow, we actually will be submitting the attached application for Community Development Block Grant funds that actually come from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is a funding source that we have been using on pretty much an annual basis to varying funding levels. Primarily for sidewalk projects. Right now, we are actually working on a project on 5th Street between Solomon and Roop using the same funding. The project will be submitted tomorrow, and we will be seeking after July 1st to do some additional concrete work just northeast of Empire Elementary School, where we have some very deficient sidewalks, a lot of poor concrete in that area. And I'll just note that when we do these projects, we do have a mixture of projects that are, some of them like this one are more, maintenance related. They're not building a new segment, but we also have other projects where we do build a new segment. In fact, this summer, we'll be using some of this year's money to build a new sidewalk on Long Street from Stewart Street over to Carson Street over by the fish facility. So this one is more in the maintenance realm of trying to keep our sidewalks up with limited funding.
Patrick, can you, for the record, can you explain how you leverage these funds with other funds for these sidewalk projects?
Yes, I'll be happy to address that. Many cases, including the ones I just mentioned, the one on 5th Street and actually the one on Long Street as well, we are able to use these funds to match with Federal Transit Administration funds to basically allow us to build even more, and we end up with 100% funded, federally funded projects. This actually is the exception. In this case, we decided not to indicate that we would do that because, frankly, we have a lot of projects going on right now between those sidewalk projects and the fleet expansion that's going on right now that's using those FTA funds. While it's entirely possible that we will be doing that match on this project as well, we didn't guarantee a specific amount of money because we want to see how the fleet project goes and some of these other projects, get them out of the way, get another year of federal funding, which is not yet available to us. And then we'll be able to determine how much Federal Transit Administration money we'll be able to add to this project. But it's very much scalable. If we determine that we have $50,000 or $100,000 from the FTA available, then we can make use of it because of this money.
Are there any questions from the commission? Seeing no questions from the commission, I'll ask for public comment. And since there's no public, this is an information-only item. So we will move on to item F4. Another information item only on implementation of the Jump Around Carson expanded evening service.
Okay, I'm just going to introduce this one and hand it off to Graham Dollarhide, Transit Coordinator. And I just want to note that we've had this item before both the RTC, of course, for approval, and we actually brought it before the Board of Supervisors as well back in August because we wanted to be very clear about the potential additional funding requirements for the service. And at those times, I did indicate that I would come back to this board and we would provide an update. So with that, Graham, go ahead.
Thank you. So basically, the service was implemented September 2nd of 2014, obviously, and it's, I guess, can be broken into three parts. There's the additional hour of evening weekday service for the fixed route. There's the service that is geared towards the WNC students, which runs at the top of each hour from 8 to 10 p.m. and departs from WNC and takes passengers to their any destination within a quarter mile of a fixed route. And finally, there's the complimentary paratransit, which also goes until 10 p.m. So looking at the ridership data for September through December, ridership is up across the board when compared with the same period for last year. In terms of strictly the fixed route, ridership is up about 4% from the previous year and is in line with our projected budget. The paratransit service, while it has yet to receive a pickup beyond 8 p.m., it has been used from 6:30 p.m., which was our former end time, until 8 p.m., and it's actually been quite useful for clients of the dialysis clinics and the clinics themselves. They're able to more evenly spread out appointments throughout the day so that they're not trying to squeeze people in and rush people in and out of appointments and trying to keep up with the Jack Assist paratransit services, the former schedule. So that we expect that to continue to provide a good use for the clients, and we expect ridership to pick up as well. And then finally, for the WNC service, monthly ridership peaked at about twice what the first month of service, and kind of dropped off in December, which is due to the fact that there were no classes from December 12th on. We have been working with WNC administration to further promote the service starting this next semester, which begins the middle of this month. We do expect to see a jump in ridership simply because obviously there's been the semester of it's been around for a semester, and when the service was implemented in early September, most students had already registered for their class schedule, so they didn't really have time to plan around this new service. They didn't really have time to plan their course schedule around this service. So hopefully this time around they'll be able to schedule evening courses and take full advantage of the service.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
I have one. You had talked about the time frame for WNC. What's the last departure time?
The last departure time from the college is 10 p.m.
10 p.m. and it has to, or it drops them off within a quarter or a block of a fixed route. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I just may add, so
Sure.
So in summary, that additional weekday hour on the 4 fixed routes has been well utilized and very much appreciated. I think it's already successful. The paratransit isn't used late into the evening, but it's available. And frankly, if we don't have to run it, we don't spend the money, so that's a good thing. And we'll be monitoring the WNC service and reporting back again later on, through this coming semester to you folks about how that's going, and if it's warrants continuation next year.
Now, Patrick, Graham, you had indicated that the ridership in December was down on the WNC route because school was out, but we didn't actually run the route during December.
Correct,
Right.
correct. It's only in operation during days of the week and weeks of the year that classes are in session.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
I just got one.
Sure.
During the winter months and with the extended bus route, has it been a specific plan to keep some of the routes clearer when it snows? I know it never really snows, but.
Well, you're talking about the snowplow routes?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Buses.
oh, yeah, actually, a number of years ago, shortly after Jack was implemented, we actually did review the snow route map and made sure that all the Jack routes are on at least a secondary. We have a primary, secondary, and local 3 levels of service. All Jack routes are at least a secondary.
Any public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to item F5, an information-only item regarding a request for proposals for the downtown Carson Street Urban Design Project.
Okay. As it indicates, it's an informational item. This was just to share with you as well, that an item was also presented to the RAC, the Redevelopment Authority Citizens Committee, last week as well, as the other body that is going to have input as we go through this, of course, in addition to the Board of Supervisors. In summary, there were five applications received. 4 of the applicants were interviewed last week on a panel which I participated in, and Darren Schultz as well, in addition to others. And we have the benefit now of being able to report that one design team was selected to go into negotiations, which are ongoing. And that was a team that included, was headed by Loomis, a local engineering and design firm. And it is our expectation that should the negotiations be fruitful, that a contract will be brought before the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval next month. And Darren, is there anything else you'd like to add? Okay, thank you.
Questions from the commission? Seeing none, I'll ask for public comment, and seeing none, we will move on.
Can I ask one question?
You may.
In Loomis's process, when they start going through this, are they going through, will they use this as a forum for public comments? Or how are they using, are they going to do public workshops, or how's that going to work, the process?
Well, I can tell you that as part of the contract negotiation process, some of the things you have to determine is what the role of they will be. The city has also retained the services of a public relations firm regarding the ACEN sales tax and the implementation, and of course the city as well. But it is our expectation that there will be periodic appearances at this forum regarding the progress of the project. And certainly when you're here, there is an opportunity for review and comment by the public. Yep.
Any other questions by the commission? All right, let's move on to item G1, Street Operations Report. You taking that, Patrick?
Yeah, I can take that. There hasn't been a whole lot of snow plowing, as was, as was recently mentioned. I think we're going through and doing all the hard work that our staff does on a daily basis, frankly. If anybody has any specific questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them for you. But just a matter of, everything from, as you can see, concrete work getting done. The work has been able to continue because the weather's been pretty good.
Any questions from the commission? Patrick, I do have one question for you. Under activities, it shows under street patching operation, it shows 31 tons of asphalt, and under pothole repairs, it shows 5. Can you explain the difference between street patching operations and what that asphalt is used for and pothole repairs? Because I'm sure it didn't take 31 tons of asphalt to do 5 potholes.
I gotta see where you are here. Oh. Yeah, Yeah, I think those are two separate items, and Darren, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the street patching operation is being listed separately as the potholes. So we went and fixed 5 potholes, that's one thing, but street patching, I believe it refers more to the actual, there's something that needed to be cut out and actually the asphalt replaced, not just filling in a hole.
So for instance, on the Fifth Street sidewalk project, there's patching that goes along with that.
Yeah, as part of that project, when you, as Member McQuarrie is very much aware, we were talking about earlier, when you cut out that concrete, you have to cut the asphalt out a certain distance depending on the grade and the condition of the asphalt, and then you have to patch back that asphalt.
A lot of times when you buy asphalt this time of year, you get 5 tons. It's thrown away, so.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah. So no, we don't believe that it took 31 tons to fill 5 holes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item G2, project status report. Darren?
I don't, we closed one project out here tonight, and we're thankful for that. We're having a pretty busy construction season this time of year, which isn't usual for us, but there's a lot of work going on out there, and a lot of things are getting done. The one I specifically wanted to mention that is not listed as a project here because it doesn't have any funding from here, but it's the East-West project, pipeline project. Is it listed?
Oh, it is. It's actually the first one.
Oh, okay.
On the back of the sheet.
There it is.
We hit it.
It is listed here. I just wanted to bring it up because of the impacts, and it was listed in the paper, and we've had it in our as far as traffic impacts through the city. But next week, Solomon, between Robinson and basically the high school, there's going to be a lot of work going on there, and some pretty serious impacts to traffic. Monday specifically, the road's going to be completely closed down. We're going to take advantage of the fact that school is out on Monday, the high school. And then on following Monday, Tuesday through Friday, the road will be closed southbound, and there will be 1 lane open northbound for the remainder of next week. So if you can avoid that area, please do so. We're putting a 24-inch water main up there, and then it will turn to the west and go through Mills Park. It's a good time to be going through the park because not a lot of people are using it, so that we have an advantage there. And then ultimately we'll tie in, we'll come right just to the south of this building here through the parking lot between us and the Aquatic Center, and then we'll tie in to water mains that are in Rube Street. So a lot of work going on around this area with regards to that. None of the other projects, I don't have anything specific to mention, any highlights, but open to any questions.
Darren, I know we've talked about this before, but when contracts are awarded, based on the scope of the work that's being done, is there deadlines involved and contingencies if weather, things like that?
Every contract that we put out has a completion date, and it's either based on a calendar, a hard date in the calendar, or it's based on so many working days. Either way, there's opportunity in the contract for the contractor to request an extension based on weather delays. And we do that on a judgment call basis, depending on what type of work they're doing, and if we feel like the weather affects that work. For instance, if they're trying to put down concrete and we get a series of really low temperatures, we don't want them to put down the concrete because it's not going to stay. So we would extend their contract so many days.
Any other questions of the commission?
With that in mind, how's the Fifth Street project? Is that on schedule?
You know what? Fifth Street is doing great. That's a good question. We had some cold temperatures, if you remember, but it's been quite a while ago, and the temperatures we've been having are conducive. I mean, we have to cover every night, but they're laying a lot of concrete, and they are on schedule, and we're going to be out of there before we know it. So we feel like it was successful. We were a little wary when we awarded it, doing it through the winter, but so far the weather's cooperated great.
They're actually working on the last 2 blocks now before
Yep.
Stewart Street.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Darren, if you turn to the Robinson Street and Telegraph Street, which is page 6, it says the design is complete, but the project is on hold due to other downtown improvements. Are we going to have the ability to There's still $220,000 left that's been allocated to this project. Are we going to have the ability to move that money into the corridor projects funding, or because it would now be a different scope of work, are we going to need to reallocate this money?
Very, very good question. What our plan is to use this $230,000 for a different repair of streets, the next highest priority on our list of repair. So it will come out of this year. We'll repair different streets. We're actually meeting, I think, in 2 weeks with the team that establishes what streets have the priority, and then this will get built as part of the Carson Street projects. And so money that year we'll have to take $230,000 that year and put towards these projects. So it's just, all we're doing is changing the priorities. These 2 streets will move down a few spots, and something else will move up that we'll do in the spring with this $230,000.
Thank you. Any additional questions? No? All right, then we will move on to item G3, future agenda items. Patrick?
Yeah, in fact, this is a good segue, because one of the projects listed on this sheet, on the previous agenda item, was the Western Nevada College sidewalk improvements, and our project manager informed me recently that we're just waiting for the notice to proceed. So we're looking forward to getting that out and getting bids and getting it before you for award. In addition to that, we're also waiting for a pending agreement, which we're looking forward to, on the extension of the freeway multi-use path. You might recall we received a grant last year for $650,000 of Transportation Alternative Program funds. We're waiting for that agreement as well from NDOT. And then we've got a closeout or 2 coming, but pretty administrative stuff right now on the horizon.
Thank you, Patrick.
If I may, and even though it's not the future for this agenda, I will note that at a previous meeting at the RTC, we reported about some additional information about fuel tax revenues and how they're used, and an update on that information. And we will be providing an update of that same information to the Board of Supervisors tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you. Yes.
Future agenda, just in case, you might have to give me some clarity on this. You know how I sit on the TTD for Mr. McKenna? So I need to maybe have that formalized at the next meeting, whether or not that's a seat that Brad.
Yeah, if I may, the way that we did it, when we last year we had to go to the Board of Supervisors per Tahoe Transportation District's request. And thank you for bringing this up. We specifically set it up so that we wouldn't have to come back to the Board of Supervisors frequently when things like what happened today happened. We have a new chairman. We set it up so that the chairman would automatically become the official representative to the Tahoe Transportation District. And we'll just have to make sure that we don't have to take any action to confirm your current role continues.
That's assuming he doesn't want the 236-page agendas that day.
I was just going to mention that what it actually says is that I can take the seat, or I can have a nominee take the seat. And I have a I do have a nominee in mind. So we can bring that forward on the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll reread what we did last year, but the key is that we don't have to go back to the Board of Supervisors.
All right, thank you. Any commission comments? Item H. Any commission comments before we adjourn?
Actually, there was a history of the person that went to the TT meetings, brought some stuff forward to this as information. So I've sat there for 3 months, and a lot of the stuff that they do is kind of internal and has a lot of California influence, and but Carson City plays a very small role in it. But in the meetings I've been to, Carson City fits in a big role, which has been to the Board of Supervisors because they just passed, I think, a resolution, that supporting the highway, the bike path that's going to be up there, and then the pipeline that's going to be built, maybe become the pathway up there. So that's been involved. But Carson City's been involved, so I don't have any more information than you guys had on that. There was a kind of a cool study if you're into the tourism studies, where they got a consultant that's called the Bay to Tahoe Basin Recreation Tourism Travel Impact Study. And it had to do with where they're coming, what highway, 50 or 80, where they stayed, how long, how many times they came, which they were really pleased to have and share with people. So if you're interested, there was a study that was very specific about which highway they took, where they stayed, how many times they stayed, how many times they returned, and it was a pretty good study, actually. And it may have an impact in Carson, kind of. Maybe they spend another day over the hill, I don't know. It's about that thick. But they introduced that was one thing I thought might be of interest. They, and then they have a very, very thorough bikeway and bike plan that they just introduced. And they redo it every couple of years, and so they just redid it. But there was a lot of discussion about where they're going to go in the future, so they got bogged down in the weeds a little bit, but they let it move on for public comment later. But they have a very, very specific, but it doesn't deal with Carson City in any way that I thought that RTC would have to deal with, because it was all the cities and communities around the lake. So those are just three things that I thought of as I went to those meetings to share, and that's kind of the best I could do, I think, to keep us involved with them. And but their agendas are huge, and they have a lot of business. And
As is typical of anything regarding Lake Tahoe. Right. Mark, what I would say is if you have items of interest that come up from the agenda, communicate them to Patrick and Taryn, and then they can make a decision on whether they want to bring them forward to this board. Any other further commission comments? Seeing none, we will call for a final public comment. And since there's no public here, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.